Good morning folks, it's Harry from Pilelistracing, filming for WeLoveBetting.com, and I've got 4 selections today where I feel there is a bit of value to be had in the prices at the time of filming, which is about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. We have the lock-in stakes at Newbury today, which is obviously the highlight. There's a few really interesting runners in there, including Declaration of War, the favourite for Aidan O'Brien, Godolphin's Far, and I quite like Trumpet Major at a price. He's about 12 to 1, I think he'll run well. But I'm not having a bet in the lock-in itself. My bets for today are spread between Newmarket, Thirsk and Doncaster this evening, and the first one is at 1:45, a 7 furlong race at Newmarket, and the horse I'm interested in here is Showboating. Showboating has started the season pretty consistently, still on a really good mark, and 7 furlongs seems to be the trip he's after these days, although he's fully effective at 6 furlongs. There's a big field today, a strong pace is very, very likely, and that suits Showboating. He comes with a late rattle usually, and he'll be arriving on the scene late, and I hope to see him at least pick up some place money. At 14 to 1 he looks a little bit overpriced really, and probably just being a little bit underrated for the Alan McCabe stable. He's got Martin Harley on board, who's a really decent young pilot, and I think Showboating is a decent bet to get in the frame today, at least at 14 to 1 in the 1:45 at Newmarket. On to the second race, we've got the 4 p.m. at Thirsk, which is over 6 furlongs, and I'm interested here in Forest Edge at 12 to 1. Probably in the form of his life at the moment, having come off an indifferent all-weather season, and he's won at Chester in a really competitive sprint over 5 furlongs the other day under good old John Egan, who doesn't show up on these shores anymore. John Egan doesn't take the ride today. Today it's a young apprentice, DJ Bates, who takes £5 off, and although Forest Edge has crept up to a mark of 91 now, I can't see any competition for the lead in this race. I think Forest Edge is going to get out and won't be hassled up front, which basically means that he'll have an easier time of things, and he's able to preserve a little bit of stamina and a little bit of speed for the end of the race. I think there's every chance that Forest Edge can jump out, make all, and they'll find it really hard to catch him. So at 12 to 1, Forest Edge at 12 to 1 with conditions in his favour. I would be going each way on that today in the 4 p.m. at Thirsk. Third race is the 5:10 at Thirsk, and this is a horse who has an inconsistent look to his form really. He's up and down, but his name is Al Muhir, and he runs for Ruth Carr, who is a really shrewd lady trainer. James Sullivan takes the ride, and Al Muhir is about 13 to 2. Again, another each way bet. He hasn't started the season well. He hasn't beaten a rival home in 2 races so far, but his record at Thirsk is a win and a very close second place, and he actually won this race last year off just £2 lower than he is today in the weights, so everything points to him being in a good position to run a big race again here. I think his ability is likely to remain despite 2 indifferent showings this season. And at 13 to 2, it's clear that we're not the only ones that think that. The market's interested in him, and probably for quite a good reason. I think he's going to run a big race today. So 5:10 at Thirsk, Al Muhir is a third bet each way at 13 to 2. And finally we go to Doncaster tonight at the 8:35 p.m. and I'm looking at a horse here called Sulis Minerva at 16 to 1. Now, Sulis Minerva is definitely known for his all-weather exploits more than on turf, but he is on a very nice mark on turf, especially when you factor in the promising apprentice Robert Tart's £5 claim tonight. Brings him down to a mark somewhere in the late 60s, and that is as low as he's ever been really. Everything in his favour today on turf, good ground, 6 furlongs, and I think that's what he wants. If he can't get competitive today, then he really is just worth sticking with the all-weather in the future, you'd have thought. But I think he'll run a decent race today, and every chance of running into the frame at 16 to 1. So just to sum up very, very quickly, 4 bets: Showboating in the 1:45 Newmarket each way at 14 to 1, Forest Edge each way in the 4 p.m. Thirsk at 12 to 1,
Al Muhir each way again at 13-2 in the 5:10 p.m. Thirsk, and Sulis Minerva each way at 16-1 in the 8:35 at Doncaster. Best of luck to you. Let's hope we get a winner this week. We were a little lucky with 2 seconds last week, so here's hoping. Have a good weekend. Speak to you next week. Cheers.